Gaishike is a common term in Japanese people use here to refer to foreign capital-based companies. So generally, Gaishike means Western, American, or European. But did you apply to any Gaishike companies at the time?
I did. I was applying to those companies, but I just found as I was speaking to these people, I'm like, I'm not interested in your line of work. Like, there were some financial companies, I'm like, that's not me. But some of the Japanese companies were doing trade. I was being able to have that link with Australia as well as Japan at the same time.
Right.
And to me, that was a lot more attractive. So I'm like, I didn't think about Japanese, non-Japanese company. I thought about what was interesting to me.
Okay. And you made the decision to join Nippon Ham.
Yep.
And what was your role there? Because in Japan, lots of big companies they hire employees to become their employee versus a specialist or someone who focuses on a job function. So if someone were to be hired by, say, Sony, or I don't know about Sony's process, I'm just saying this as an example. They'll become a Sony-er, that's how they hire. Or if a SoftBank hires someone, they hire someone to become a SoftBanker, not to be a marketing sales specialist at SoftBank. Now, I'm just throwing these names as an example to give you an image. I'm now familiar with their hiring processes, so I'm not speaking on their behalf, but to give you an idea.
Right. I didn't have a title. It's nothing.
Oh.
Yeah. It was basically on my business card.
Were you just as a token foreigner?
Probably.
Our first foreigner?
Basically that's what it was. On my business card, it just had the team name. So it said, it was like second gourmet meats department. That's it.
Gourmet meat. Oh.
Yeah.
Doesn't Japanese companies have like the first team, second team, like a number after, instead of calling it different names, right?
Right. So there was like gourmet meats 1, gourmet meats 2. There was like beef, chicken, pork, seafood. Yeah.
Like they're all independent teams, or are they bundled into that meat team?
Oh no. So the whole company is dealing with meat.
Right.
But for example, if you want to break it down with who works where, it's all by the category of meat. So that's the beef team, that's the pork team, that's the chicken team. Yeah.
And then there's a seafood team.
Seafood as well. Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Okay.
There was one special one. The only special one was like the China team, and that's where they basically did import and export of all kind of meats, and we're dealing very closely with China. So they were kind of a different team. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of meat team and then the China team that focuses on the market. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And how long did you work there?
I was there for exactly 3 years on the dot.
3 years on the dot.
Yep.
And how was your experience there?
So thinking back on it now, it was extremely.
I guess the question is, do you have Nippon Ham products at home in the fridge?
Oh, at the time, yeah, we used to have.
No, like right now.
Now? I don't know if I do. Actually, no.
Because a lot of things could be from Nippon Ham, right?
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah. Anyways, okay, so how was your experience?
So it was my very first company, and I mean, I guess as a new grad, you have nothing to compare it to.
So this was your first corporate experience out of school, right?
Ever.
Yeah. So you have no idea what other companies are like.
No expectations, yeah. Looking back on it now, it was super unique because there were things like, for example, everyone has to be coming to the office by 8:30 a.m., put your time card in, stamp in.
This time card thing, I've never had one throughout my whole corporate career here. Is it literally a paper where you clock in, like a shift card?
It's like a piece of cardboard, and it goes into the machine. So whatever the digital clock is at the time, it'll print that time onto the card. And so then you do that at the start of the day, at the end of the day, and then at the end of the month, you put in all those numbers onto an Excel sheet, print it out manually, So it's a lot of double work.
Do you know if the company or some other companies out there still use the same system? Have any idea?
I'm not sure. I'm sure Corona has shaken things up. We don't have to do that anymore.
Okay.
But that was one thing that was interesting.
All right.
The second one was every 8:30, 12 o'clock, 5:30, the bell would ring like a school. So then, for example, 8:30, the bell would ring, everyone would stand up all together.
What kind of bell was it? Was it like a enjoyable, fun, cinematic?
Oh no, like
urgent?
Literally what you hear at school, like dun 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 dun. Yeah.
Dun, dun. We're not that musical, but that's what Japanese school bells sound like.
Literally, the same one.
Right.
And then everyone would like stand up, and they would have this little book where you would read, a couple of lines per day. you would say the same like chant, like we are always happy and always bright, challenging for 30%, like that kind of thing.
What does 30%
30%
mean?
of the market, like market share.
Oh,
Yeah.
you mean like let's get that market
Yes,
share?
yeah. And then
Every morning?
every morning, and every morning there would be someone who would take turn to be the leader of that. So then
What's that called? I think there is a term for that.
they called it showa.
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 Not chore?
No, no. Well, I mean, chore, you
Chore
can't say
is
that.
the general term, right?
So chore is the general term. Showa would be like the call. Yeah.
So chore is the thing that a lot of Japanese people have in the morning where the employees gather around and they talk about what you were doing, right?
Yeah.
That activity is called chore.
That's
and then,
chore, yeah.
The chant is called showa.
Showa. Yeah. At least in my division, all I had to do was like just give my top thoughts of the day. Like for example, I decided to get off the train one stop earlier so I can walk back home and have some exercise. Like it could be anything. Yeah.
So you have to talk about your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Or your initiatives, whatever it is. It's very
sure.
casual. Some teams, I think they did go around one by one. So what are you doing today? What are the plans? Like that's a bit more hardcore.
Right.
My division wasn't like that, but it did happen.
So you have to like talk about like how many nattos you're gonna eat for a day. Is it gonna be kimchi or miso soup with tofu or mushrooms or
with
things
bacon
like that?
inside the meat. Yeah.
All right. That's how you got evaluated.
Exactly.
I'm just kidding. I don't know. I don't think that's the case. But yeah.
What else is there? There was lots of drinking. I used to go out. They used to call it market research. We would go to places like Korean barbecue, eat the pork, eat the beef, eat the lamb, whatever it is.
That doesn't make sense, but at the same time, I guess it's still work, right? If you put it that way. So,
Yeah.
in the name of market research or work, you would go out how often?
It would depend, but I would say at least a couple of times a month, at least.
A month. Okay,
Yes.
That's not too bad. It's not like not every night of the
No,
week.
not every night, no.
Because one of my friends who worked at a different company, he used to tell me that he would at least go out with his colleagues for drinks twice a week.
Wow.
So that was almost like an unspoken rule that you have to be there. But yours wasn't as frequent.
It wasn't as frequent, but of course, sometimes there were visitors coming from overseas. Then I'd be almost like the unspoken, unofficial translator. I have to go along, entertain, all of that to the wee hours of the morning. So yeah, that did happen.
Another thing I'm curious about is, so what was it like to be the only foreigner in the office? And you've been, I mean, foreigner, there's a different way, I mean, because, like, there's like Westerners, because, you probably stood out if everyone was Japanese. So it was like 100% Japanese environment, you're the only one.
Right.
Not even Asian foreigners.
No, there was one Asian foreigner. He was in the Chinese department. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were the only Caucasian foreigner.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes.
What was it? What was that experience?
My first day was very interesting. I walked into the area where we all sat, and the lady who was sitting next to me, she didn't want me to sit next to her. She was just like, she was freaking out. And I was like, what is going on here? And I just think she was afraid that I couldn't communicate with her.
Oh, so she thought you would speak no Japanese, that she would have to talk to you in English, and she was panicking.
Exactly. Anyway, fast forward a day or two, totally fine. She was onboarding me, helping me get up to speed, and it was, honestly, not an issue at all. There was one time though, I did dye my hair. So.
Well, what's your natural hair color?
So this is not my natural hair color. My hair color is a bit darker than this. It's like a darker brown.
All right.
But it was dyed like kind of actually very similar color right now. And I remember walking into the office on a Monday.
All right.
I did it on a weekend, and no one said a word. They were kind of like just looking at me like, oh wow, one person said, oh, you look like a cartoon character. Ha ha ha. Yeah.
What is that supposed to mean?
I don't know. Anyway, so then fast forward that whole week till Friday afternoon. And then the senior manager of my division, he's like, Matt, can I talk with you? And I'm like, here we go. He took me out the back. And he's like, I've been thinking about this all week long. The hair color to you is natural, but for everyone else it's not. So it's not fair. Can you please dye it back? I'll pay for it, is what he said.
Dye it back to your natural hair color?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. He's like, it's not fair on the Japanese people here. Please dye it back. I was like,
that's an interesting, like, I
was like, okay. And so then the funny thing was, I dyed it back. The next week on Monday, when I went back to the office, he was pretending as if it was my initiative. He's like, oh, it's back to normal, ha 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 ha. In my head, I'm like, you're the one that told me to do this. Yeah, so I don't know, it was like unspoken rules.
No, but I think like he was like giving the credits to you as in like you read the air, made it easier for you versus saying like, I told him to do it, you know.
Probably.
Yeah. I think that was probably like being kind.
Maybe, yeah.
So you left after 3 years. Why?
There were some stats that were being talked about, and I was very happy. At the time, my whole work was to do with lamb and mutton, and so when you break that down, there are import charts you can look at. How much has come in for the month, how much, and then you could compare that to how much I actually bought, and so then.
Wait. We talked about your team, but we didn't talk about your role in the team. What was your job?
Okay, my actual role was to talk with farmers based out in Australia and New Zealand, make a contract with these people, and import the meat into Japan. That was my job from start to finish.
So import meat from ANZ.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and when it was great because I got to speak with Australians, with New Zealand people, build a connection, and it was great because sometimes there were some very demanding requests from the Japanese side. Like for example, the box is dirty. Like who cares? The meat is clean. Like like they would talk about this and they want like an apology letter and say, we're gonna like
when you
do our best to change.
Who are these people?
It was the end users of Nippon Ham. So the restaurants, the supermarkets.
So restaurant owners, supermarket owners, they were complaining about the having some dirt on the box or the container.
Yeah, if it looked dirty on the box, or sometimes you may have found like a small hair or something in with the meat, which is not good, but still they wanted, I think it's a very Japanese mindset, they want you to take responsibility for it and say, how are you going to change this in the future so it doesn't happen again? Yeah.
So they requested the company to let them know how they're going to deal with it in the future.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. This is an interesting point because for people like us as consumers or customers in Japan, we get to experience like top-notch service, products, everything's clean, which are now used to after 15, 14, and how many total?
Well, in Japan, 18 now.
18 years.
Yeah.
So, but as someone who's part of the company that's providing that service, what's expected of you is, Matt's story is a great illustration of that.
Yeah, very high expectations, and I think that's why the quality is so good in Japan.
Is that why you left?
Part of the reason.
I deviated the story over you.
No. Well, I mean, part of that it was annoying. Like I had to explain to New Zealand, please just make a silly letter, they'll be happy with it. That kind of stuff.
Right.
But the reason why I left is because someone told me, it's like, Matt, did you know you by yourself, you're importing 30% of all of the lamb and mutton in the entire country of Japan? I was like,
what?
That's amazing. Yeah, my manager told me that. And I was like,
so when did I get your autograph, Matt?
I was like, when do I get my bonus?
Right.
And he just literally like, well done, pat on the back.
When you say country, as in like Nippon Ham or
like
Japan?
Japan is a total, from south to north, like everything.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the face of a guy who imported 30% of lamb and muttons.
Yeah, I did. And so basically, the reason why I left, I was like, well, I'm not getting rewarded for the effort that I'm putting in. So that's why I was like, okay, it's time to find something different.
Would you say effort or the results that you
Both, a bit of both.
Right.
Yeah, there was no recognition.
Okay. So you didn't get rewarded for anything but just the pat on the back, that was it?
That was it.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, that was the moment when you decided I'm out. Okay.
That was the moment, yeah.
What was your favorite part about working at a Japanese company, and what was your least favorite part?
I would say that I really liked the whole togetherness. Everyone's very close to each other. I mean, at the time, I was, again, a new grad. I wasn't very opinionated.
First job ever,
exactly,
right?
Yeah. My manager would be like, do that. I'll just follow. I loved, sometimes they would give me the keys to drive. There was a company car, and I would pick up customers. We'd go to the giant warehouses with the freezers and the fridges and look at the meat and see what I've been importing. That was really fun because you really feel like, oh wow, like I did this.
Sure,
that was really great. What I didn't like was the whole there's just like meaningless rules. For example, on my contract, I didn't realize this. They said strictly 2 days off per week, which I thought Saturday, Sunday. But for example, if there was a public holiday on a Monday or a public holiday on a Friday, they would make you come to the office on the Saturday.
Is that legal?
It's legal. Apparently in Japan, Sunday is the only day that's like I think they call it like a statutory holiday. Yeah.
I actually didn't know this. Oh,
it's legal, yeah. So I would go in on a Saturday sometimes. I'm doing trade, like who am I talking with? Australia and New Zealand, they're not working on a Saturday. I did nothing. I just sat there and was surfing the internet, planning my next holiday.
So you're in the office on Saturdays just to be there. I mean, not on Saturdays, but on the weeks where there were more than 2 holidays on the calendar, just to be there to follow the rules.
Exactly.
Okay. Interesting.
Didn't like that at all.
So would you say that to me sounds like it's the processes are there and they speak louder than everything else. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Would that be
Yep.
All right. That's so interesting. Before we go into part 2, make sure you SLT, subscribe, like, and turn the notification. And if you haven't downloaded my free ebook, 3 ways to find your 3 ways to land your first Japan job, the link is in the comments. Stay tuned. We're gonna be back with part 2.